What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to Mecha PPV, where we are working on a blueberry 4Runner project which has never seen light of day. We first begin off by putting this flywheel onto the transmission. Here I go, messing up. I can't do nothing right. We're putting the flywheel onto the engine to get some life out of the transmission, because without the flywheel, we can't go anywhere. So of course, on the while putting this thing on, I find a broken piece, a broken bolt for the flywheel itself. Luckily, I did have a stash of Toyota flywheel bolts on hand, because somehow I had extra ones. I don't know where they came from, and they were brand spanking new. I don't know where it came from, but I went ahead and used it. Slapped on the rest of the bolts, and believe it or not, I ended up doing a very responsible thing for myself. And that is actually torquing the bolts down. So I made a mistake already. For those who haven't rebuilt many of these, or many engines, or put transmissions together, you're supposed to put a medium grade Loctite on these things. Not a high strength, not the strongest thing, but a medium strength Loctite. And the reason is that there's a lot of stress that goes behind in here, inside the bell housing, and you can have bolts to walk out. I did that, and I didn't put that. So if any of the bolts were to come out in the future, it's because of my stupidity for not putting Loctite. Right? It's probably next to important. I go ahead and put the next portion, very important piece, the spring. Everybody needs the spring, and inside of the spring you got the clutch. You see, this, I don't know what brand it is. I got it 4 years ago. I got it from eBay. Very cheap kit. It came with the flywheel, the spring, and the clutch, and a guide, the little clutch guide. And it 90 to maybe 120 bucks. I don't remember. I supplied the bolts you see that I'm putting behind the spring there, and I just slapped it on there. I just needed something to be running. I just needed something to make this thing run, and that's gonna do the job. There you see me putting the guide for the clutch in there. Very important. If you don't got a guide, please don't eyeball it. I mean, you're gonna have issues guiding that transmission in with the pilot bearing and the spring, and then you got your input shaft from the transmission. You're gonna have issues if you don't use a guide. Please use the guide. I'm using a torque wrench again for the outside spring bolts. Very important. All right, I like torquing stuff instead of using Loctite, apparently, even though the Loctite is important, especially in that high stress area.
Good job.
So I remembered that on this engine there was a missing fuel piece, and that was the fuel regulator, the fuel dampener. I think it's dampener, should be dampener, and it was missing. So if I didn't put something in there, it was gonna be pouring fuel out. So I went and got a banjo bolt from eBay, got it shipped, and slapped that on there. Taking the inside out for the shifters and the transmission, just for it won't be in the way. And then right when I was in the area of doing the banjo bolt, I said, you know what, let's fix these terminals. These terminals are in very bad shape. They were rusty, they were corroded, and they would not tighten any longer to the battery. So I went ahead and did some electrical maintenance or electrical repairs. I fixed some the ground strap that you see me there. I'm taking the outside insulation, or the outside layer of the wire, and making sure that I have a very nice, beautiful wiring under there. And there's my phone. Jesus. And of course I get phone calls while I'm trying to do a video. So I went ahead and put some buttons on these things, and slap on. See, now I'm all distracted. Now I don't even know what I'm saying. Crimping. I crimped in a new button, cut the power wire to the junction block, and then I went ahead and cut the other end of the ground strap that goes to the battery. This is very important, ladies and gentlemen. This is what grounds your starter transmission. Your starter. If you don't ground this, you will not get no startability. Okay? You need this ground strap on the engine. Remember, the housing of the starter is the ground to the starter to function. That's how it works. So I went ahead, cut the end, got it butt connected, crimped it on there, and boom, we're gonna get some startability. We're gonna get some startability this time. Okay. Got the power wire to the junction block. Without no power to the junction block, your ECU won't work at all. Put another butt end on that. This is not the best repair, okay? The best repair, the very smart mechanic, the very good mechanic, I'm not a good mechanic, will solder his things immaculately, you know? We'll put solder, heat shrink. It looks like it never happened, right? It looked like it never happened. So if you really want to do this correctly, you solder, okay? Got those brand new chrome plated terminals. I don't think they're actually chrome plated, but they look beautiful. They look beautiful. Slap those things on there and look up the setup. Look at how it's set up, ladies and gentlemen. Ground strap from the body, ground strap from the engine. Boom. Power wire to the positive side, okay? And then you have the power wire to the starter. Very important. Look at this setup. Beautiful. It's a beautiful setup. I know. I give myself a pat on the back, okay? Use the Makita. Don't use the Makita, okay? Don't use the Makita. I use the Makita because it was low voltage. It's low battery, right? And I know I'm not gonna damage anything with the low battery. Don't use like a high strength snap-on 3/8 impact, okay? That thing will break it off. Trust me. Got my wife involved. Yep. See the Dane, making sure everything's right. And then I saw the wheelbarrow there, and I'm like, you know what? Let's just use the wheelbarrow. That thing weighs a ton, and especially when you're fighting the gravel, that thing is a good workout. It's definitely a good workout. You know what I'm about to do. I'm about to crane this transmission up inside. We're gonna crane it up in there. And boy, was this the most back aching, neck breaking, sweaty thing I've ever. No, I can't say I've ever done, but it's close to up there. It was a bit of a struggle. And then to top it off, the shifters were in the way, so I had to go under there and take the shifters off while I was under the car. And I didn't really think about it when I was rebuilding it, but I definitely should have thought about that. I should have definitely thought about that. We use a couple of jack stands to protect my life, because you don't want this heavy transmission clashing on top of your face. And with the help of my wife, always, give me the proper tools, jack stands, and she went all the way inside to actually get the wheel jack, which was needed to actually level out the engine, because the engine cradles backwards when there is no transmission. So I had to cradle it up to make sure it was in proper level, and with the help of some channel locking pliers, I was able to mate the engine with the transmission. It's really easy to use the channel lock pliers to get the alignment correct and to splice them together. You just find the flange of the bell housing, and you find a flange on the engine, and just squeeze them right there, and boom, the dial pins will definitely align themselves. We're using the final preparations to give you a better point of view, and boom, just like that, we're really close to getting this thing started. Just like that. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys for watching. I hope you learned a couple of things and do a couple of tricks. Hope you get your projects up and running, because I know some of you have quite a few projects that are just laying out there. You know what I'm saying? Watch the other parts of these series that I'm trying to create here. Part 1, inspection. Part 2, transmission rebuild or assembly. Go ahead and watch those if you're interested. And thank you guys for watching the Blueberry project. It will run one day. Trust me. Trust me when I say this. It will run. Make a PPV out. See you in the next one, ladies and gentlemen.